I'm Mallory at the Review Board. This is a short presentation on environmental assessment startup and scoping for Indigenous governments, and community organizations. Environmental assessment startup. When a developer wants to start a major project like a mine or an all-season road within the Mackenzie Valley, the proposed project will be referred to an environmental assessment with the Review Board. The referral starts the environmental assessment process. This referral can be sent to the Review Board by an Indigenous government, a land and water board, a municipality, or the territorial federal government. It can also be ordered by the Review Board itself. After the referral, the Review Board enters the scoping phase of the environmental assessment. What is scoping? Scoping is the first stage of the environmental assessment process. During scoping, the Review Board listens to all interested parties about what impacts or concerns they think the environmental assessment should include. Knowing what impacts or concerns matters most helps the Review Board carefully consider what priority issues to focus on throughout the environmental assessment. Scoping sessions are in person. They include Indigenous, territorial, and federal governments, as well as the developer and other interested parties. There are usually some scoping sessions that focus more on technical experts, and some that focus more on communities. In communities, scoping sessions prioritize hearing from community members, Indigenous governments, and community organizations. Keep in mind, interpreters can be available for local Indigenous translations. How can Indigenous governments prepare for scoping? It is important the Review Board hears from all community members. This includes engaging with as many community members as possible, including traditional knowledge holders, women, youth, and elders. By starting discussions about any impacts or concerns of the proposed project will help prepare the community members for the meeting. Additionally, this will help guide the scoping sessions on topics that matter most. Indigenous governments know best of where and when scoping sessions can be held within a community. As a result, the Review Board will ask local Indigenous governments to help organize the meeting. After working out a scoping session date, the Review Board and local Indigenous governments have the responsibility to inform the public. Why should Indigenous governments take part in scoping? Scoping is another opportunity to learn about the proposed project. The developer will be there and can describe the project and answer any questions you may have. During scoping, the Review Board wants to hear about what impacts, issues, or concerns that community members may have with the proposed project. Attending and participating at the community sessions will help the Review Board focus the environmental assessment on what matters most to Indigenous governments, and community organizations. After scoping. When scoping sessions are finished and all interested parties have voiced their comments, concerns, or questions, the Review Board will think about what it hears and decide what issues the environmental assessment will study. The Review Board will write a draft document called the Terms of Reference that lists all topics the environmental assessment should focus on, as well as what questions the developer will answer about impacts and how they can be reduced or avoided. The Review Board will ask parties to review the Terms of Reference and decide if it is asking the right questions and prioritizing the right impacts. Once the Terms of Reference is finalized, the developer must answer all questions in a document called the Developer's Assessment Report, or DAR for short. For more information on the DAR, please review the Developer's Assessment Report's presentation. Scoping. Scoping sessions is the best time to tell the Review Board what impacts they should look at throughout the environmental assessment. Thank you.